everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out here in the shop, continuing my review of lures, baits, techniques, rods, reels, and line that were essential in my brand new TV show called My World, airing on CBS Sports Mondays at 9 o'clock. The next show that I want to go over is a show that I shot with a professional bull rider. And I had the opportunity to fish with one of the best in the world, Keyshawn Whitehorse. Man, what a competitor. Talk about a tough dude. I could barely stay on a mechanical bull, and this dude rides real bulls. The other thing about Keyshawn is he's a heck of an angler. His background is trout fishing, but once you're a fisherman, you know how to do it all. I presented Keyshawn a challenge on a North Jersey reservoir that was going to be a really tough challenge. We fished on a place called Merrill Creek Reservoir. It's a reservoir that's ultra clear and ultra deep, and it has a lot of species. So this challenge was fishing as a team. We had to catch one largemouth, one keeper largemouth, one keeper smallmouth, and a lake trout that each of us caught on our own. Man, this is a difficult one, you know, because of the clarity, because of the fact that in this reservoir, they eat a lot of herring, and the fish are pelagic. They just swim with the bait. The largemouth do it, the smallmouth do it, and especially the lake trout. So in this episode, in my mind, the hardest species to catch were going to be the lake trout. And just like in a normal fishing day, they always throw you a curve. And as we launched, I mean, it's like 6:30 in the morning, we're launching, the camera guys are setting up. As we're launching, I see pods of bait fish right near the launch. And anytime you see bait, you want to be near it because the fish are going to be around it. And we started right near the boat ramp. And when I was fishing, I didn't know what I was fishing for because any of those species can be around the bait, right? But I knew that I wanted to throw something that imitated the herring. And basically a jig head with something on it that looked like a herring. And my choice was simple. I love this bait rigged on a jig head. And this is the Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Flat Nose Minnow. Flat Nose Minnow. This is the 4-inch Flat Nose Minnow, and it's in a color called brown back. And I want you to look at that color. It's almost like an off-white, some silver and black metal flake with an olive green brown back on it. Brown back. And that color, almost to a T, looks like a herring. If you've ever seen a herring, an alewife herring or a blueback herring, they have brown backs. They have greenish, olive green, brown backs. That was a perfect imitator of this little bait that I saw. Got a 3/8 ounce, this is a Moon Eye jig head. And all I did with that Max Scent Flat Nose Minnow is I just threaded it. Just threaded it on there. And one of the things I can tell you about this bait is that it has a very erratic fall, right? Because look at that tail. It has an anatomically correct forked tail, right? A lot of those minnow baits, the tail's like this. That's not right. The tail on a regular fish is like that, right? So it's anatomically correct. But on a heavier head, on a quarter, a 3/8, a half, that bait just is erratic on the fall. And it almost goes left, right, it kind of spirals. It falls erratically. And then once I stop it, whether I stop it halfway down or near the bottom, because that Moon Eye jig head has a 90-degree line tie, that bait stays very horizontal and natural. just like a herring would. But early on, right near the boat ramp, not 10 minutes into the shoot, I threw that Berkley Power Bait Max Scent flat-nosed minnow into a school of bait fish. I let it fall, I picked it up, and as I picked it up, one slugged it. And right off the bat, we got our lake trout knocked out of the way. I caught a decent lake trout. I'd give it 2 pounds, 2.5 pound lake trout. Let the fish go. First check off our challenge list was gone. You know, after fishing in that same area for a while, the bait started to disperse, the bite flattened out, and instantly my mind went to, let's go try to get the largemouth and the smallmouth off the checklist. And especially largemouth, because I knew they would be more around physical cover. Grass, rock, we tried a jetty, but we ended up settling in on a grass flat that had a deep weed edge. And this weed edge was a weed edge that was in 18 to 20 feet. Super deep weed edge. And on that weed edge, using my Lowrance active target, I saw some fish. And not long after we got there, we caught a big pickerel. We lost a big pickerel. That didn't count toward our challenge. And finally, Keyshawn hooked up with a big largemouth 4-pounder, another check off our list. But I want to talk to you about the bait that worked on that deep weed edge. 18 to 20 foot of water. And this was a really key bait. And we used the Ned head, a Ned rig, to target that largemouth. This is a really special one. If you look at it, a couple key features. The one is the bright chartreuse head. That's been a little secret for a lot of guys, but I'm letting it out of the bag. This is a VMC Ned head, but that bright chartreuse head, in that clear water, they would see it from a far ways away. They'd see it sort of erratically falling down, spiraling down, and they'd gravitate toward it. Once it hit the bottom, that Ned head would just sort of motionless, just a neutral action along the bottom, almost just dragging, gliding, looking like a non-threatened forage. That was super key. But the bait itself became a real important asset for us during the course of the day. And once again, when I'm around clear water, finicky fish, smallmouth, largemouth, I'm a big believer in Max Scent. And we used, that's that brand new Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Little General, the Little General. And the Little General is a short little stubby Ned rig shape, right? It's perfect for the Ned rig. This bait is almost 3 inches. It's 2 3/4 inches long. It's fat. It's got a nice fat body. And we used it in a color called Gobiyashi, which is a goby style color. But one of the key color palettes, look at it. We talked about it. Olive green back, bluish pearlescent blue belly. Also was a perfect imitator of a little herring. Another check off the list is on the Little General Berkley Max Scent. That bite slowed down, and we went to the dam. We went to Rip Rap trying to catch smallmouth, right? Rip Rap is always an area where smallmouth live. We tried drop shot. We tried the Little General. Nothing. With about an hour and a half to go, we made a decision to go back for lake trout and hopefully let Keyshawn catch his lake trout and get it out of the way. We went to a deep hump, and sure enough, not long after we got there, he was able to catch his lake trout, and this was a bigger one. This was a 3 or 4 pounder on a really cool little bait. It's great for deep water. This is an old time bait. A tail spinner. Look at that thing. A 3/4 ounce tail spinner, just a white pearl body, silver blade, another great imitator of bait. We actually saw the fish on the active target. Keyshawn flipped behind the boat, started jigging it about halfway down, and he successfully caught his lake trout. Boom, check off the list. You know, talk about a pressure cooker. We've got 3 of the 4 species for this challenge. And the last one left, man, what a thorn in our side this day, was a smallmouth. We could not catch a smallmouth to save our life. But with about 30 or 40 minutes to go, we made a critical decision to go back to a bank near where we saw the bait fish in the morning. This was a rockier bank, a little bit deeper slope. The biggest key about this bank, it had bait around it. And when we went back, there was no doubt that we wanted to continue to throw the Ned bait, the Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Little General in Gobiashi. By the way, that head size was 3/16 ounce. And with about 10 minutes to go, on the initial fall, as this thing was falling and spiraling erratically down, my line jumped, I set the hook, and I caught a keeper smallmouth. Not a big one, 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds smallmouth. Man, I was excited. It was a hard challenge, down to the wire. We completed it. I want to talk to you about the rod, the reel, the line that we used on both of these rigs, right? On the flat nose minnow, on that jig head, and on the Ned rig Little General, we used the identical rod and reel. And it's really a great setup when you're fishing exposed jig head rigs. Neds, tubes, drop shots, a jig head, minnow baits. And this is the Abu Garcia Ike Series Finesse Rod 7.4 medium light. Man, I'm telling you, making long cast, fishing in deep, clear water with these small baits, that 7.4 medium light was key. And that medium light, that's got a lot of tip to it. It's about a 70-40 ratio. Look at how spongy that tip is. Look how awesome that is. So important. Fighting lake trout, big smallmouth, big largemouth, so important. 7.4 medium light spinning rod paired with the Abu Garcia Revo Ike spinning reel in the 30 sizes. And on both of these setups, we used 10-pound Berkley X9 braid in white tied to a long leader of Berkley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon in 6-pound. Light line, clear water, tough fishing. It made a lot of sense. This was one tough episode, but between those 2 Max Scent baits, we were able to get this challenge complete. What an amazing episode, fishing with one of the best bull riders in the world, Keyshawn Whitehorse. Man, I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And I hope you enjoyed this in the shop, reviewing the lures, baits, techniques, rods, reels, and line that worked in my brand new TV show called My World, airing on CBS Sports Monday nights, 9 p.m. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I hope you're enjoying these in the shops, talking about what actually worked in the show. See you later. Good luck.